Okay, this parsha is Parshat Ekev, and I just wanted to say something beautiful. The Mesal Isharim, which we just finished the book, in his introduction, he says one of the most important fundamental psukim of the Torah is this week's parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu says, "V'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha shomim mincha." Moses, Moshe Ra'aya Mehemna, does a wonderful service to us. He encapsulates the Torah in one pasuk. He says, "Va'ata." Hey Jews, what does God want from you already? What does God want from you? Ki'im le'yir'ah. Only to fear Him. So the Gemara in Menachos, actually the Rif Alfasi brings it all on the daf in Brachaot. He brings a beautiful Gemara in Menachot. It says, "V'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha." He says, "Al tikra ma ela me'ah." He says, in the end of the day, what does Hashem want from you? 100. What's 100? We Jews pray 3 times a day, shacharit, mincha, arvit, and everything we eat and have benefit from, we say bracha. So how many brachot do we say a day, Reuben? 100. So he says, Hashem wants from you 100. So I just want to say something so beautiful because Be'ezrat Hashem, we have 2 people that are going to be fathers. Reuben just got married 2 months ago. Moshe Chaim is getting married in 3 days. They once asked the Alei Shor, the Rav Shlomo Volbi, he says, in the end of the day, I could tell you, the most thing is like getting heaven on earth is having good kids. And Rabbi Netaneli Zatzal, Rabbi Netaneli Eliyahu's father, told, once we were in a Shabbaton many years ago, maybe 35 years ago, Dara had set it up, that in the end of the day, if you have good, holy, Talmid Chacham, Sadiq kids, it's worth more than the whole entire world. Because they're refined, they're godly, they have class. So they once asked Rav Shlomo Volbe, how do you teach your kids Yirat Shamayim? Okay, we just gave a 40-minute class. What do you need to teach your kids? Torah, right? You need to teach them Tefillin, right? Gemara, whatever, Mishnah, the 5 books of Torah. But this thing of fearing God, which basically is what Moshe tells us. What does God want from you in the day? That you should fear Him. So Rav Volbi said, if the father and mother, everything they say a bracha on, they say it carefully, with kavana, with proper intention, like they're thanking God, right? Don't worry. By osmosis, right? Because actions always speak greater than words. Actually, my Rebbe Zatzal, Rabbi Ben David, it makes me cry. He said something, it totally deflated me. He says, rabbis, don't care so much about your speeches. He said, your congregants, your talmidim, your students learn 100 times more from your actions. Because actions always speak greater than words, right? So if we want to convey the fact to be ethical, to fear God, every time you say a bracha on your coffee, your tea, if you actually say it that you're talking to the King of Kings, that's what Rav Shlomo Volbi said. He says that's how you're mechanech your kids to have Yirat Shamayim. So I just want to say something very, very beautiful from Rabbi Netaneli. Every time we say a bracha, we have to say the Shulchan Aruch. Actually, a lot of people don't know this. I was going through a very hard time a few years ago. I was talking to Rabbi Netaneli a lot. He's a Baal Ruach HaKodesh. He's a real big Kabbalist. He's probably the greatest we have here in LA, or probably in... Some would argue, Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef told me that he thinks he's greater than the Yanuka. He told my son-in-law, my older son-in-law. So he says he's a Meir Diketam HaChacham and a Kodesh Elya, and he's in... So he told me something amazing. He said the Shulchan Aruch paskins that every time you say a bracha, you have to have this kavanah. What is this kavanah? When you say the name of God, you have to say Adon HaKol, that He's the master of all. Haya Hoveh V'yeh, He was, is, and always will be. And then when you say Elokeinu, you have to have kavanah that He's Takif, Almighty, Bala Yecholet u'Bala Kochot Kulam. He's Almighty and all-powerful, which means He has Hashkacha Pratit, right? Nothing happens random. If your tire pops, it's Hashem wanted it, right? So Netaneli told me something very powerful from the Rashash. He said, Al Pi Kabbalah, we know every time you do a mitzvah, you create a guardian angel. You know that, right? So every time you actually talking about Talmud Torah, the beautiful thing about Torah learning is, let's say you learn 1 hour. So average, I think the Chavetz Chaim writes, a person may say, the Sefer Charedim also writes that, like, you may say, let's say 500 words in an hour. The reason why Talmud Torah is the most superior mitzvah is not, you don't only create one angel from that hour of learning, you create 500 angels. Because each word and word that you learned, you created its own angel. But regarding Brachaot that we have to make 100, he said the Rashash, which was the greatest Kabbalist after the Arizal, and Rabbi Netaneli told me my mission in life is to teach everybody this, and with this I'm going to finish. He says, let's say every time you make a bracha, you don't have this kavanah, versus you do have the kavanah. He says, if you do have this proper kavanah, which is very basic, that's why Rabbi Netaneli promoted to print this card and everybody should have it, and the new Sidurim actually have it inside. He says, the Rashash says the angel you create, if you have this kavanah, is 1,000 times more powerful. Right? Which means, once you have this kavanah, every time you say the name of Hashem, that He's the master of all, is, and always will be, the bracha, the blessing you bring into the world is 1,000 times more. And Hashem should help us. The most, out of these 100 brachot, only one is in the Torah. And that's in this week's Parsha also. What's the bracha? Birkat HaMazon. Now the Rashash also writes, the Ben Ish Chai brings down this Rashash, some people make a fundamental mistake. And I seen this on Shabbat with my own family. They eat so much gondi and kishka and cholent that they can't have kavanah anymore when they say Birkat HaMazon. So a person has to be careful. The most powerful mitzvah that we have, bracha that we have, all of the brachas of Shmon Esrei is the Rabbanan. The only bracha from the Torah out of these 100 is the bracha of what? Birkat HaMazon. So therefore a person, I'm on a major diet, but a person has to be very careful that when you make this bracha, you should maybe have some coffee, tea, because unfortunately I've witnessed with my own eyes dozens of people. They had so much to eat on Shabbat, mashallah, that they can't even say the words. I told the guy after benching, after we got to my son, he said, this is the only bracha that's from the Torah. Only bracha that we have to make from Torah law. All the rest, the 99 are for rabbinic. So the Ben Ish Chai brings, the Rashash brings that a person, Chas v'shalom, says, Vayishman Yeshurun Vayivat, right? A lot of times when you get oversatiated, that's when you kick and you don't have, you're ungrateful. So a person should be careful, especially when you're at a wedding, Shabbat, when you eat a lot. First of all, for diet reasons, you shouldn't eat a lot. That's the Rambam says for health reasons, but also you should be extra careful in Birkat HaMazon, which is the only bracha from Torah law, that it's a shame. The Ben Ish Chai writes, he says a lot of people, their Shmona Esrei takes 10 minutes, but their Birkat HaMazon takes 2 minutes. Or Shach also used to always scream about this. He says that's why people should bench from a siddur. So Hashem should help us, that you should know, whenever God doesn't need our blessings, when we 100 times a day are able to have this proper kavanah, that God is the master of the world, the ultimate blessing comes to who? Us. So we should all be blessed with all the blessings of the Torah. Amen.